So from the first time Michael and I started talking about promoting a show together and talking about the Warrior Classic, our number one goal was to make it about the athletes. I think that when you go to a physique competition, an NPC IFBB competition, what are you going to see? You're going to go see the athletes. And so why not make them your first priority? They've spent the time, they've spent the money, they've done the diet, they've done the training, they've worked on their posing, and now it's time to show what they've been working so hard for. So why not make their experience the best experience possible? I'm Carol Semple, three-time Arnold Fitness Champion and Fitness Olympia Champion, and promoter of the NPC Warrior Classic with my fiancé, Michael Alexander. I have been involved with the NPC since, 1985 was the first NPC show I ever went to. I competed in my first NPC show in 1987, and I just fell in love with it. And so it's always been a passion of mine to be involved in the industry. And, after I quit competing, I had lent my name, had the Carol Semple Fitness Figure Classic, to a local Colorado show. And I loved doing that. I loved being involved. I loved emceeing. I loved, every part of that. I just felt like I wanted to do more as far as really being the promoter and making the decisions on what to do for the athletes, what to do production-wise. I felt like I wanted more. So 2007 was the last year that I had lent my name, and I just said, I need to do this myself. And if I keep doing, if I keep lending my name, then I'm never going to go out there and do my own show. Michael and I had our first date. He had asked me, he said, so what's your plans with the Carol Semple Fitness Figure Classic? And I said, well, I want to promote my own show. And Michael told me on our first date, he goes, that's so cool, I'll do it with you. So from our first date on, we've always talked about the Warrior Classic, and it's kind of cool to look back and say, oh my gosh, we talked about this in 2008, and 2010 was our first year, and now we're going on year 5. So the Warrior is held at the Embassy Suites in Loveland, Colorado, and couldn't ask for a perfect place to have a bodybuilding show. It is just beautiful. Michael and I watched it being built, and we just kept saying to ourselves, this is going to be gorgeous. I can't wait till it's done. And they took us for a tour. The ballroom was just huge. They have bent over backwards to make sure that what we want and what our requests are met. Every room in the Embassy Suites has a refrigerator, has a microwave, perfect for a physique competitor. Actually, this next year, we're negotiating with the Embassy Suites to, when you check in, you can pre-order your competition food, and they're having a la carte foods that you can pre-order, and when you check in, they'll deliver it to your room. So then you can just put it right in the refrigerator and have it. So like 4 ounces of chicken or a cup of rice, it'll be portioned out where it'll be easy for them to order. So what a perfect opportunity for the athletes, especially coming in from out of town. And then they can pre-order their food and have it and stay right there, walk downstairs, and boom, there you are. When Michael and I started discussing what we liked and didn't like about other shows and what we wanted the Warrior Classic to be, I think one of the things that was really important to us was the fact that when we did go to shows and you had a venue that had the sponsors inside, I loved that. I always thought that made it better for the sponsors. I felt like people would stay there more, and then they could mill around and see who your sponsors are. I think the sponsors have a better time because they actually get to watch the show. So it's really cool that we have such a large ballroom that all the vendors can be inside. It's such a big ballroom that we get four big jumbotrons across the back. So no matter where you're at, you can still see the show. You're not missing it. I think I'd like to ask a lot of promoters what their anticipation was of their very first show. Because it's your first time. How do you know how it's going to go? Of course, you're putting in the hard work and you're hoping that it's going to be a great turnout. I think that Michael and I, we did a really, really good job getting the word out, spreading the word about the Warrior Classic, because we really wanted to make sure that our first year was successful. I was really happy with our turnout. I think that 104 athletes for a first-year show is pretty darn good. I'm not going to complain about that. I think that from year one to year two, it really proved that we did a good job because of the increase in our numbers. Our third year, we had 276. I remember we ordered our athlete numbers, and we're like, oh my gosh, we don't have enough, and we had to order more. And then, oh my gosh, we need more, we had to order more. And so it was kind of a cool problem to have that, you keep ordering those athlete numbers. So, we didn't really anticipate the length of time that it would take to go through the 276 athletes. Our big discussion after the third year and watching the Warrior grow was, what are we going to do to condense the show, make it within a timely manner, still let the athletes have their experience. It wasn't really a choice for us to not do 2 days, because the promoters that kind of gave us some input said, only let your top 5 do a posing routine, only do this with, your bikini, your figure, your men's physique competitors. And, when we talk about the Warrior being for the athletes, that to me then takes away from that athlete experience. And fourth year, 2 days, it was, I have to say, a great decision. I'm really, really happy. Michael's really happy. We're so excited with how the 2-day show went. The 2 days were easier to manage on our end, and so I feel like if we had a better time managing those 2 days, then the athletes probably had a better time.
For being an awesome coach and friend, for family support, and
I would like to say that we're the first as far as our idea and also having a catwalk. With such a big stage and such a big ballroom, I think it was perfect to add the catwalk in for the night show. We allow the figure, the bikini, and the men's physique competitors to walk the catwalk.
One thing that I really noticed is that they really wanted to make it an incredible experience for the competitors, and having something just like the catwalk where no matter how you place or where you're at, every athlete gets an opportunity to walk out there, and their friends and family get to get those photo ops and get to see them, and so that was an incredible experience for me, especially in my first show. Walking out there and seeing my friends and family and hearing those cheers and stuff like that was something that I'll never forget.
So I wanted to do something that kind of gave them a little bit more, but also gave the audience something more. And so I think that we get to now incorporate the audience into the show, the athletes into the audience, if you will. I think it's a great addition for the Warrior Classic. So when we talk about how we want to grow the Warrior Classic, where are we going to go? We want to be more than just an NPC competition. I mean, the NPC we want to be our main focus. Or for me, everybody wants to be like Arnold. I mean, come on. And the Arnold Sports Festival is unbelievable. And so I would like to kind of create something similar on, of course, a smaller scale. I don't really think that we're going to ever be as big. I want sports to be a part of the Warrior Classic. I want to grow and have more sporting events. Our first year we had a bench press competition, we had CrossFit outside, and we happened to be friends with Brian Shaw, and we were lucky, really lucky I have to say, to get Brian Shaw to do a strongman competition. So the first and second year we had the Brian Shaw strongman, we had CrossFit. We did arm wrestling the second year. We've every year kind of grown just a little bit. Last year, our fourth year, Brian wasn't available to do a strongman event, and so we didn't have a strongman competition, but we were introduced to Brian Staggs, who's with the Highland Games. So we were able to bring them in, and that was just a huge hit. Everybody loved the Highland Games. So I think when we're looking at what direction we're going to go and adding more sports, I would like to talk about a 5K. Maybe we would do some kind of a bike race, or maybe it would be some kind of an X Games. We could do something along those lines. It's keeping keeping our options open to continue to add and grow and make it a weekend that people want to plan on and come to. Make it a fun weekend. One of the things that we always do when we go to a show, you sit in the audience and you're a spectator and you never know. You never know what class is on stage. I mean, unless it's, you're really following the program or something, but typically you never know what class is on stage. So what we've done is we have done a little slide. So every time a new class comes up, that slide comes up on the Jumbotron. So it says, Masters 35, Masters 40 to 45, or, it'll say what that class is. So now you always know. One of the things that we've done for sponsors is our bigger sponsors are getting the benefit of having their logo added to a class division.
I think Carol and Mike really broke the mold with the Warrior Classic and how they not only promote the show, but how they interact with the participants and the attendees at the show. So for one, they put all the vendor booths like us inside the event, so we're right there where all the spectators are. And then they have all the screens around the show which are interacting with the participants as well as showing competitors, but also promoting your brand. And I think just that type of interaction really integrates you with the participants and the attendees at the show.
I think that's a big benefit for a sponsor, where you're continually getting that added exposure. And why are you sponsoring a show? Sponsoring a show to get added exposure. We have a big pump-up room, a really good-sized pump-up room. You got tons of room to get ready. And we have a Jumbotron in there as well. So as a competitor, you can look at the Jumbotron and see what class is on stage, and it'll even show through that Jumbotron, because you can see, you can see the screen, and so it'll show the class divisions as they're changing. So an expediter can know by looking at the Jumbotron what class is on stage. A competitor in the pump-up room can know. So I think it gives better time preparation. So you have an idea of how many classes are going before you're up. You can pump up better, you can prepare better, you can do what you need to do before you're taken to the pre-stage area.
Well, I couldn't believe how much pump-up space there was. I'm used to fighting over mirrors and really struggling to be able to pump up at all. And all of a sudden there's this huge room, there's plenty of space, you can kind of sprawl out your stuff. But then on top of it, there's a screen, and I have other friends who are competing, so it was wonderful to be able to, pump up at the same time, watch my friends compete, and really get an idea of, who's placing. And it took a lot of stress out of the show. It was really just relaxing, kind of, not so much pressure. I didn't feel like I had to fight, kind of like I had to do at other shows.
One of the things that Michael and I have always agreed upon is you have a trainer backstage for a reason. So that trainer can go everywhere with you as long as he has a backstage pass, except for the stage. You can take your trainer in the pump-up room, he can go down the hall, and he can stay in the pre-stage area. Your trainer and band stay there or go right out to watch. You pay for your trainer to be there, so why not allow the trainer to be there with you? We have a very, very cool award called the Heart of a Warrior. And how that came about was based on an athlete who competed in our very first year Warrior Classic. And as a matter of fact, he happened to be the very first registered athlete for our very first Warrior Classic. This kid's name is Tyler Karen. And what a remarkable young man. Him and his buddy, Nico, unfortunately were in a really bad car accident where they both lost their legs. And Tyler wore his prosthetic legs and competed in bodybuilding. And, it was one of those things where Michael was helping him and doing his posing and helping him train. And, it was unbelievable where you have a kid like Tyler who has gone through such a horrible accident, and, his attitude. It was just really, really special. And so that was where we came up with the Heart of a Warrior. And the premise behind that is we award that to that one competitor who overcomes tremendous odds to be able to train and persevere and step on stage at the Warrior Classic. And what a cool recipient, but for Tyler Karen to be the one to have won that. And our second year recipient of the Heart of a Warrior was Ron Testa, and he was a little bit older gentleman, and back in the 70s had a bad motorcycle accident and lost a leg from that. Our third year was Denny Taylor, and he had had some powerlifting records when he was younger, and he's been very committed to always coming back and doing the Warrior Classic. So our fourth year, Susan, she had been through some hip replacement surgery and had a diagnosis of a tumor that was going to be very difficult to operate on. And how hard it is to get ready for a show, and for her to choose a show that she wasn't prepared for, only because she was going to have a surgery that probably was going to prevent her from ever competing again. Is that not the definition of a Heart of a Warrior? So, I think every year we look for that athlete who, perseveres. That to me is kind of the definition of what a competitor is, what an athlete is, and then to have that heart to be able to do it no matter what. Heart of a Warrior. We can't ever fully do a show like the Warrior Classic without the sponsors. And I am so thankful that we've had very loyal sponsors for every year.
Well, I've known Carol for years, ever since I was a little teenager. So Carol and I go way back. And when Carol and Mike came to me with the, they came to me the very first year with the idea of the show, and I thought it was awesome because it was a show that we didn't really have in Colorado, which I really think we needed. The type of show that really caters to, the athlete, really caters to the athlete getting ready for a national show. So I really like the idea. So that's why, after I seen it all happen the first year, the second year I was on board. Hey, I really love this show. You guys do a great job. I want to title sponsor it. And, together, they're just really good people to work with. They ask for my input, and I don't give them much. They pretty much do it all themselves. But it's really cool that they have the title and sponsor involved with ideas and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Tokyo Joe's and Muscle Farm have been some huge presenting sponsors for us. They've done a wonderful job. And then some of our featured sponsors, we've got Peak Kia North, and then Nutrition Company, thanks Nate, Isotory. They've been some really great sponsors for us.
I think Carol and Michael's ability to just make you really feel like you're a part of the team. Their receptivity to ideas about things you want to do that might be outside the norm of most events, and just their ability to really get out there and want to promote the event to well beyond just the core consumer. So there's a lot of people coming in that might not normally be brought to your brand in this type of a show.
The future of the Warrior Classic is I think a big future. I think we have a lot of growing to do, and I think that in the first few years we've been really, really smart about how we've managed our growth. How many times do you see somebody that they go too big too soon, and then boom, it's done. And so we've been really smart about growing small steps, baby steps. And so it's exciting for me to think about where we've gone from year 1 to year 4, and then what's coming in year 5.
In 4 years, the Warrior Classic has become one of the most prestigious shows in Colorado. I would send newbies there. I would send, experienced athletes there. It doesn't matter. It's just a really fun show.
Everyone I talk to loves the Warrior. They love how it's ran. They love the venue. They love everything. It's a really cool kind of expo feel as well. And honestly, everyone I get in touch with is like, hey, I want to do a show. I'm like, look at the Warrior. Every time I see someone, I'm like, look at the Warrior. It's a great show. It's a really good first show, as well as stepping stone into national level. I think you get a whole broad spectrum of competitors through that whole show.
It's that show that it's perfect for your first time, because you really get treated like a celebrity, kind of. All of a sudden, it's your day, and you get nobody rushes you, nobody pressures you. You get more time on the runway. It's about you.
I see nothing but just great things. This show just getting better. We all learn every year a little bit about how it could be better, what we could do different, and we pay attention to those aspects. What can we do to fix those things? And that's what I really love being a part of the show.
I would say the number one goal, besides our athletes, is what is the experience that people have when they come to the Warrior Classic. And of course, we want people to have a good time. We want them to feel like they're at an event that they're going to look back and say, man, I want to go back. That was so much fun. I'm going to go back to the Warrior Classic. When you know that people have had a good time, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a spectator, whether it's a sponsor, a vendor, they're going to have fun, and if they have fun, they're going to come back. And that's what we want. We want people to enjoy themselves and have a good time and feel comfortable and come back.